Welcome to this first edition of Stable Talk, presented to you by Epol. It's a programme in which we're going to take a stroll through the stables of a number of well-known and perhaps even lesser-known trainers, getting up close and personal with the horses which are in their care, finding out about some of the stable stars and the younger up-and-coming horses. It's that time of year when everybody's thoughts have turned to the Vodacom Durban July. One man who's going to be absent this year, and unusually so, Michael Azzie. The Azzie name has become synonymous over the years with the Vodacom Durban July, and the Azzie family has won it on 4 occasions, I believe, Mike. Going right back, I think it was your Uncle Joe who,
yes,
your great Uncle Joe it would have to have been.
Yeah,
Okay.
Granddad's brother. Jim, he won the race in 1937, if my memory doesn't fail me.
No, I think you're right.
With a horse called Bally Jones Duff, and he ran third in the same July with a horse called Dennis Blink, and that was for an owner called Mrs. Henke, and she was the first ever lady owner to win the Durban July handicap. From then, Granddad had a long run in the July where he had lots of places, seconds, thirds, fourths, but he himself had won it on 3 occasions. He won it in 1955 with Pretos Crown, then again in 64 with Numeral, and then again in 74 with Riberville. And we all know that he retired after 75 when he'd run a close third with Elevation.
Elevation, of course, was probably the best of them, but didn't win the July.
Yeah, I would say Hawaii was probably the best of the whole lot.
Of course.
In my opinion, maybe I'm being a bit sentimental, but I go on the manner in which Granddad spoke about Hawaii. Maybe he didn't keep his best for Gravel, but I would think he would possibly be the best horse that we ever had that run in the July.
The year the Pretos Crown won, he was acclaimed as being the most handsome horse in the ring, certainly the best turned out. That has become something of an Azzie tradition. An Azzie horse comes into the parade ring, it sparkles. It looks as though it's going to take a rosette in a showing class. Does that come from your granddad? Has it been passed down over the generations?
Thank you for the kind words, Jimmy. Yes, you know, my granddad had it always instilled in us that your clients are paying top money to have horses trained by you. And nothing gives them a greater thrill than to walk into the ring and their horse stands out and looks good. So Granddad put that tradition in, my dad improved on it, and I've been trying to improve on it, just trying little things to make the horses look even better in the ring. And surely I'm hoping that Adam's going to work on that and get even better than me, which I'm sure he will.
Brings me to another point. Your grandfather was very fortunate in the patrons that he had. But it seems as though you've also enjoyed something of the same privilege along the way.
Yeah, Granddad set out a principle with us from young, and I believe that he ran his life to that rule to the nth, whereby, as he said, keep your horses in the worst company and keep yourself in the best company, and you'll go places in this game. And he made it his business to make sure that he mixed with the right people.
Well, based on that, Maxim, let's have a look at a horse that I happen to have named. I've been quite lucky. Pylon is this particular one. He's a confusing horse because he's undoubtedly the sand champion up here on the Highveld, and yet you seem to have persisted with running him on occasions on the grass, and you actually vindicated that decision the other day because he came out and ran a damn good race in second over a long distance. What is this horse all about?
Yeah, Jim, he's a decent chap, this boy. He's an honest horse. He tries his best. He's a big boy, as you can see. Obviously, when he gets on the sand, he grows another leg. He just becomes a totally different animal. He's pretty close to a freak on the sand. I believe that he'd be just as effective on the tapita. But saying that, it's not that he's a useless horse on the turf. He's effective on the turf, but he's definitely not the same horse on the turf as he is on the sand.
But you feel that he's possibly good enough to maybe even win a listed race on the turf over a long distance?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, yes, Jim. But he's probably only going to have another run or 2 in the country because we're going to be moving him onto Dubai.
And Tapita just could be the right surface for him, Michael.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Okay, well, if you're talking in those terms, then you're probably talking Dubai World Cup.
Well, please God, you know, it's big. It's a big ask. It's a long way away, but obviously when you go to Dubai, that is your dream. One likes to be in Dubai and get a bit of that limelight. It's a good experience.
Well, you've had that experience with National Currency.
Absolutely.
You did exceptionally well there.
He did do.
Great tragedy in your life, Michael.
Ah, yes.
Where do you think he might have got to? How good was he?
Jim, the world would have been his oyster. There was a horse called the Tatler that went and won a multitude of races in the UK, and he was way behind National Currency in Hong Kong. And probably this race that Shay ran in the other day, I think National Currency could have gone very close to winning that, as well as winning a lot of the other races in England, the Nunthorpe, the July Cup, and those type of races. That was part of our mission with him. And unfortunately, things were curtailed by the tragedy that happened to him. But
he took you on a hell of a roller coaster ride. I mean, you went to Hong Kong. You nearly dethroned the champion sprinter of the world, a horse that had won, 17 races?
Jim, I laugh when I listened to Felix Coetzee doing his interview on TV. And he said he loves the way I'm so enthusiastic, but Michael didn't know what he was meeting in Hong Kong. Well, I have advice for Felix. No one took the time to actually find out what happened to National Currency in Hong Kong. National Currency's feet burst apart. He had separation, and for 4 days we did absolutely nothing with him. He stood in a stable while we were running around to try and find a farrier to sort his feet out. If people watch that race closely, we got silent witness off the bridle, and Felix started niggling. And Washington was still going reasonably easy. And the last 50, my horse's head came up for air, and I believe that he ran out of condition due to the day's work that he missed in Hong Kong. And I was dying for Silent. They were saying they were going to bring him to Dubai. I was dying for him to come to Dubai because I would have shown Silent Witness who was the boss. This is another one of the stable favourites. He's just such an easy horse to love and like. This is a Massa Warrior. He's one of the most honest horses in town. We call him the Tractor because Massey Ferguson, because he's just such a big, honest, strong boy.
Let's have a look at him. I'll go over here.
He always gives his best, runs his heart out for you, and more often than not, he's right in the money. He was a big runner for us in the season. He did well for us in some features. He ran fourth in the Aquanaut. He won the Caradoc Gold Cup. I would like to believe a little unlucky in the Gold Vase. Carl Erd, he might have set him alight a little bit early. Our plan is to take him down on July Day and run him in the Gold Vase there. I'm hoping that the track won't be a bother for him, because he is a better horse at Turfentine stand side than he is inside track, but we have to take our chances.
Now, he's a horse that completely belies his pedigree.
Yeah, Jim, this is the strange thing about horses. You get horses that are bred out and out sprinting bloodlines, and then you get them, they're stayers. And then you get, like everyone says, Vase a sprinting stallion, and that's it. And then you get Jeff Woodruff who comes up and wins the Oaks with Princess of Light. Horses will always make fools of you.
Yeah.
So you just got to, this is the thing with training a racehorse, you've got to have a broad mind. And you cannot stereotype the horse that because his pedigree says he's a sprinter, you only sprint him. You've got to let him tell you what he wants to do.
In the money in the Gold Cup?
In the Gold Vase first on July Day, I would imagine he could be in the money, yes. And should he run well there, then we'll probably go back for the Gold Cup. My granddad always said to me, it begins in the manger. He said, your horses are what they eat. And if they eat well, they'll look well and they'll run well. So we've always tried to obtain the best possible feed for our horses. Starting out, I used to feed soft feed. Then Mike and Epol teamed up and had a chat. And Mike de Kock, his record speaks for itself. He's a great trainer. He's a man that puts a lot of effort and time into nutrition. I sat and I thought about it, and I went on to the de Kock feed, and their food is consistent, and your horses maintain their form. And once they can maintain their form, it obviously shows you that they're not getting different batches of food where the horse's food goes up and down. So as far as I'm concerned, Epol do have the best feed on the market available at the moment.
So this is Patala Palace, I suppose you'd call him the talking horse of your stable, really, the last couple of years.
Yes, Jim, obviously he's having a rest now, so I don't want to upset him because he can be a bit moody at times. But he's a lovely horse, honestly. He never ever gets a winter coat. As you can see, his coat's glowing. He glows all year round. We've had a lot of aches and pains with him. He's had 2 fetlock chip ops, but at the moment we've got him in a good place. He's moving beautifully. He's sound. Our intention was to run him in the Vodacom in July. We couldn't get him ready in time, so I just put the foot off the gas and said, well, there's a race at the end of the month, and I'm sure that we're going to have him in tip-top condition for that race, and that's where we're going to go to.
There's been a lot of conjecture about him. Is he hemo-concentrating? Does he need gelding and all this kind of thing? But essentially what you're saying is that it's a leg problem that you've now hopefully fixed.
Yes, Jim, you know, look, he's a decent horse. Things just haven't panned out for him. Things didn't work out for him in his career, and I'm hoping from here on in it works out for him. Here comes the way up, and he's biting. I wish he'd take this fighting spirit of his to the track and start fighting with the boys there.
You'll hopefully, I suppose,
Cheeky.
be wanting to win another Group 1 or get him re-established to cement his reputation for when he goes to the breeding paddocks.
Yes, Jim. The idea is if we could win the Champions Cup with him as another Group 1, he'll be a dual Group 1 winner. If he comes through that race and he's sound, then obviously we'll bring him home, try and look at where we're going to go to with him, Summer Cup, Horse Chestnut, one of those. Yeah. If he can have won 3 Grade 1s, then he must go to the paddocks. He's got an impeccable pedigree. I think he'd be an amazing horse in the paddocks.
You're very fortunate in that you've moved on to 4th generation, you've paved the way, and you've got a boy now who is enormously switched on about what he's doing. And it must be wonderful for you to have this backstop.
You know, Jim, I would like to believe that Adam has changed my whole life. I went through my motions for years in this game because I loved it. I was privileged to get up and do something every single morning of my life that I loved. But now my son has come on board, and I know I'm doing something for him to continue to keep the family dynasty keep going.
Well, I'm with Adam Azzie, who's 4th generation trainer, or going to be. Adam, to me it seems though you and your dad have a very close relationship, and you've become a backstop to him.
I'd like to think so, because we are very close, and we confide in each other a lot, and I respect my dad's opinion, and he respects mine. And if I can take pressure off my dad, like you say, being a backstop, I'd love to do that, because you know what he's given me in life, feeding me a lot of his knowledge, which I'll always be very privileged to have that vast amount of knowledge that he's got from his grandfather and his father, and passing it on to me.
Your dad has always displayed an empathy with horses. When he's standing up close and personal with a horse, you can always feel that there's something between him and the horse. Do you find that you're also developing that same kind of feeling, instinct, empathy for the horses you work with?
I do find that. You know, it's really tough because it's a business, and you become emotionally attached to your horses whether you like it or not. I think you've got to try and put a barrier there, because eventually they do come and go. So you've got to let them go at some point. As much as you love the animal and as beautiful as they are, and that like peaceful energy that they throw off onto you, you've got to sort of have a point where you've got to realize this is business.
This is obviously a favourite of yours. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Lavolta, you know, she came to us and just from day dot took a strong liking to her. She's such a pretty horse, so it's hard not to like her. And she's just given us so much joy since she's been in the stable, and she runs her heart out every time she runs. She is an 8-time winner now, and just that alone is a great achievement on our behalf and on her behalf. So got to be very happy with that. Not many horses win 8 races.
The Azzie dynasty lives on, and appears to be in very, very safe hands.
Yeah, definitely.
Mike Azzie's state-of-the-art facilities here at Rantjiesfontein personify the man himself, the absolute perfection. Mike, well, what can you say about him? He's been a tonic for horse racing over the years, not afraid to speak his mind, controversial, yes, emotional, always, but a man who is nothing if not good for the game. That was Michael Azzie, the subject of our first stable talk in the series. There'll be 12 in all in our first season, and we'll be back in a fortnight's time to introduce you to another of our top South African trainers.